Hello everyone. On this video, I want to talk about a topic that I have been thinking for a while, and a lot of people ask me how I think I would like Throne to improve, to keep the game alive, keep the game interesting. And one thing I want to say, I have played a decent chunk of MMOs that have PvP, maybe not to the larger scale like some old school ones, because I was not into that. I was into League for the most part. And I still think MMOs in PvP overall are bad because the idea behind MMOs is just doesn't really work well with the idea of PvP, like fair PvP at least. But even then, I always thought Throne was very accessible when it comes to PvP. Like, I never thought it was hard to gear a character. I never thought it was hard to reach a point that you can play PvP and do decently well. So that's what I want to talk. Like, I actually think Throne PvP compared to most MMOs is pretty decent. I think this system is not perfect because the only way you can make a PvP system more balanced and like working with proper tiers is by having full loot or something that you actually have to risk. So if you bring high tier gear, you're fighting with power, but you have the risk of losing the power, right? Which is something like Albion Online does really well, for example. But since Throne doesn't have full loot, to play PvP in Throne, you always have to be at like max power, right? Like end game. And that's fine because I actually think it's mega okay to achieve that. I think some things could be toned down or at least made easier to reach, like room levels definitely could be easing up for players to catch up. I think mastery levels should be easing up for players to catch up. Anything that takes way too long to like get to a point that you can play on fairgrounds versus each other should be easing up. But regardless, I still think Throne is very friendly, even towards free to play, when it comes to that aspect of getting ready for the PvP. I think what ruined Throne was not just the balance in some ways, even though I think metas are normal and things always change. I think the biggest problem with Throne is they have always been way too slow, way too slow to do changes to classes, to do changes to weapons, gear, specific gear passes, and like balance things out. They take way too long to deal with certain bugs, which can ruin many things. So I think the biggest problem with Throne came from that fear of balance. I wish there was more balance patches weekly that would like increase a little bit of damage here, decrease a bit of damage there, and try to find like a sweet spot. Of course, not gonna be perfect. No MMO is ever gonna be perfect. Well, at least try to find something that works for everyone. I think the time to kill is ridiculous. I think the healing is ridiculous. Either you kill someone mega fast or the person is immortal. I think tanking is like horrible. Honestly, it's like totally lost. I think maybe it's due to the cooldowns and the formulas and like how things works. But I think Throne definitely would need to rework not only class balances, not only class combinations, not only the time to kill, but other things to make it work. In my opinion, I would love if the game reduced the time to kill. I would love if cooldowns and parries had more impact in your fight. I'm not saying they don't have impact, they definitely have impact. Hitting a right parry can decide if you live or die, and if you kill or don't kill. But I still think it should be more window for the player to react and to play around it. Because if the less window of counterplay, the less window of opportunity you give for the enemy to react, the more punishing, and you can even say higher, the skill ceiling, but that makes a lot of players just become dead meat targets, and that's not fun for a lot of people, and that's what makes a lot of people quit and makes things unbalanced. The biggest example is E.Tevent. Since you can just build mostly glass with the current way the game works, you could do that for a while. And play E.Tevent, what you do is just tap one person per set, one tap one person per set, right? And for the person doing that, that's fun. You're killing, you're set, but the other end, the person receiving, it's really frustrating with the time to kill being like 0.001 seconds. And like the worst part is that this forces the game to be fast. This forces classes should be fast, and this kills the variation of classes because you cannot use classes that are too slow or classes that are too gimmicky and don't have enough protection to survive the one shot. Like you don't have invis, you don't have smoke, you don't have a melee or range parry, you're dead. You don't have like a combination that can go stealth, you're gonna be dead like 90% of the engages. Even if you parry, there are countermeasures like prone that can counter it. So it's rough for the casual player, the slower player, the player that is not in tune with hardcore PvP, the player that literally is just playing with some PvE slash normal class, to even have a chance to play the PvP. It's just literally a spam fest of like kills. Literally, you're just gonna be killing the guy on repeat, and there's nothing, literally nothing the guy can do. So I think the game really needs to tone down the time to kill, needs to rebalance the cooldowns of certain things, the damage and effect of certain things. I could go more in depth on this on another video and actually try to break down every single class and try to rethink what I think should be changed, should be fixed. But mostly this is just concepts that I feel time to kill should be reduced, more opportunities for counterplay, more opportunities for reactive play. Healing should not be a 0 to 100. Should not be a situation of like either you kill the guy instantly or he doesn't die. I think there should be a more longevity fight, would be way more interesting. Wearing down the enemy, hitting during the downtime of debuffs, hitting during the uptime of buffs, using your parry versus important CDs of the enemy, like Curse Explosion is a great example. If you deny a Curse Explosion, you basically deny the entire bar of the enemy. So things like that actually generate combat with counterplay, in my opinion, is way more interesting. That's the first topic I want to mention on the PvP. And the second one is more open field PvP, because open field PvP is the bread and butter of Throne. While you do have GVGs, and rifts and bones, they are fun. Even abyssal fights, even night chest used to be way more fun. I wish they would revamp the night chest. The game has over time lost a lot of what made it special for a lot of people, which was open world bosses and ZVZ. And the biggest problem with ZVZ was people make huge alliances, shadow alliance, big alliance. I'm not saying this would stop that, but the fact that the game allowed those things on the start of the game, you could like mark enemies and it would be shadow alliances. You had actually 4 guilds in an alliance, which would just dominate basically 90% of the servers, with like some servers having actually competition to fight each other, but most of the times they didn't. I think killing the alliance system has been a thing that they should have done a long time ago. I actually think the alliance system kills this game. I think if we didn't have alliance and we had a bunch of bosses like on tier 1, so let's say it's boss time, there's gonna be like Manticus, there's gonna be Leviathan, there's gonna be Pakilu, Ascended Island, like 4 to 5 bosses that would spawn. This would force guilds to pick something to do. Oh, we need Manticus, so we're gonna go to Manticus. Oh, the top guild is here, the third, number 2, number 3, number 4 guild is here, so we either fight them or we pivot to another boss. So while they're doing Manticus, we'll move to Pakilo and start doing Pakilo, you know? I think if there wasn't alliances, if the game was not dominated, even in the situation the game is right now with 2 guilds, I think nowadays it's much easier to have multiple bosses and spread apart the conflicts. And that's what I think it would be really nice in the game, to actually have different points of interest, different points of conflicts to play the guild versus guild, because this would spread the strong players, the weak players, the medium players all over the board, and wouldn't be everyone concentrating like the Archboss, which is everyone in the same Archboss, and the top guilds just control the field like 99% of the times, and just becomes like a meat shredder fest that the top guilds murders everyone. I think if there was more points of interest, the game would be way more interesting when it comes like to actually having combat in different areas, different types of gear score, different types of guild numbers. And the other thing I think it's missing is more prizes. So, for example, get a prize for the first place guild. For example, we took the boss with, I'm gonna pause this here. We took the boss with 99%, right? Let's say like that. And that means the drop rate for us is like 99%. I think doing that is understandable, and I think it's fair to a certain degree, but I think this kills competition because the first place gets everything uh, with based on contribution, right? And the second place doesn't get anything or has a really, really skirmish, almost dead chance. Third place, same thing. I think if instead the game had like more gear to drop, like actually more gear, not just this pathetic drop that it is, and actually have like tier lower tier arc bosses, like mid tier between normal gear and arc bosses, or actually normal field bosses drop actually numbers massed into it, and the drop rate was different, was not just based on like the contribution, but actually something like first place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place. And then like every place has a drop pool or a chance of dropping things. This would stimulate the competition to fight and not get motivated, because even if they got stomped, even if they're losing, if they got second place, if they got third place, it would be relevant and they would get a reward, while maybe not the best reward or like to have the best odds. Let's say, yeah, they definitely would have lower odds in the first place. They still having odds to get something. They still having a role for like second to slash third tier guild, not the top tier, but like having a chance of getting a progression gear on their character would be great. I think the percentage system is very oppressive towards like players trying to fight a fight. I think by cutting those players out, those second, third, fourth, fifth places, those other big guilds, medium, lower guilds that are losing, is not only dismotivating to spend your time doing PvP. So, for example, spending an hour or like 30 minutes fighting for nothing. You just don't want to show up on the next day. You just don't want to play it because it's a waste of your time. It's disrespectful for your time. I think it makes the game really boring if you're in the losing side, and that's why a lot of people simply quit or join the winning side or join the Zerg side, because there's literally no reason for you to stay in the losing side and try to fight the fight, and there's zero reason for you to waste time and give only content for the winning side. I'm not saying the losing side doesn't need to put effort, but I'm saying the losing side should also get something for the time and effort they put on the fight. I'm not saying like, oh, everyone then should have arc bosses. I'm saying they should at least have a chance of getting something to stimulate their fighting spirit. Their like, give them a reason to fight as well. I think killing Zergs is the first step. Making better reward systems is the second step. In my opinion, the third step is actually introducing proper gear and proper tiers of gears, so players can actually chase those gears and not get frustrated by just needing either normal gear, field boss gear, or arc boss gear. Actually introduce between gears, introduce like different rates. It doesn't need to be abysmally like the status needs to be abysmally different, but make the players chase their progression, make their difference between the min maxing on the gear, but not that far. But the top gear can get a little bit more, but the other guilds can actually get something as well. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. Make an arc boss tier 1, arc boss tier 2, arc boss tier 3. Make it have grades, make it have ratings, make it have a difference, so other guilds can also obtain those, at least on lower grades, but also obtain those to chase a closer gap to the top guild that is already dominating and having everything. Because this is what drives player to show up, this is what drives player to do PvP, this is gonna drive players to try to win, to get a position, even if they're gonna get stomped and not get the first position, by getting a positioning, by playing the game they are getting rewarded for their time, they are progressing their character, and they might even have fun with the PvP and start getting more into it, you know, like trying to dedicate themselves or build their time more into playing the game to get better gear to do this type of content. I think having more field bosses and for open field bosses would be amazing, and actually having proper rewards and like proper compensation with like placements instead of percentages could be a thing that could change the game for better. So that's just my suggestion. That's just like a thing that I have been thinking for a while, because it's a system that I always thought was bad. And I think this is one of the ways that you could make it more interesting for everyone. But that's about it. That's just my thoughts. I just really like Throne overall. I still like Throne, even after playing Aeon 2. I still think Throne is superior in many aspects when it comes to gameplay and PvP and structure PvP. So I think this is something that I definitely would like to see implemented and improved in the future. But that's about it. Thank you for watching. See ya.